Hi there, welcome back to the prayer room on Holy Island. My name is Scott Brennan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Ray Simpson, and it's great to be with you.
Ray and I have been doing a series that we've called Conversations, and looking specifically at Celtic spirituality and what is a way of life. And it's been good fun to talk about that. Mm-hmm. And today we'd like to consider one of the waymarks, which is really the focus on rhythms of prayer work and what Ray calls recreation, like recreation. So I think where we'll start, Ray, is maybe you could explain, when you use the word rhythm, what is it you're particularly thinking of?
Well, I think God has built rhythm into creation and into humans, and the very earliest humans reflected the rhythms of the seasons and of the land and of the soil, and religions and the Christian church have reflected the rhythms of the seasons, but Christians particularly see rhythm built into the God's revelation and the Old Testament and the New Testament, and liturgical churches have seasons, and seasons of the soul, but corporate seasons also. So this is all part of rhythm.
And actually, you mentioned the Old Testament there, that you think of even things like festivals.
Exactly.
So rhythms are not just built into the day; they're built into the month, they're built into the seasons, they're built into the year, they're built into creation. They're all there.
So you have fallow seasons in nature. You have fallow seasons of vigil in spiritual life.
Yeah. Okay. And actually, in the 24/7 world, rhythms are actually harder to do. When we were in an agricultural society, it seemed you could work according to the light, but now we've got electricity and social media and so on, so it's harder.
Yes, we're workaholics, and which makes rhythm even more important. And I think killing the bug of selfishness and workaholism, busyness, in order to discover the rhythms that are natural in the body and the soul is very important. So we renege on our rhythm when we renege on who we truly are.
Yeah. It's funny, I was reading this morning in 1 Timothy 4:11, it says, make it your ambition to lead a quiet life.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, the two words in the New Testament Greek are side by side, and they literally mean labour to cease from labour.
And the Message version of Jesus saying in Matthew, "Come to me and find your rest."
Yeah.
It says the rhythms of grace.
Yes, beautiful. Well, okay, that's great. Thank you so much. How about we think about these three words then? So prayer, work, and recreation. When you talk about prayer as part of a rhythm, what do you have in mind?
Well, in the Jewish tradition, you prayed in the rhythms of the hours, and the Gospels refer to the hours when Jesus was on the cross. And so in our community of Aidan and Hilda, we pray at least in the rhythm of the sun's rising, in the rhythm in the middle of the day of the sun's zenith, and in the rhythm of the sun settling down.
Yeah.
And some people, even monasteries and so on, keep what they call the 8 hours.
Wow.
So you divide every 24 hours into 3-hour periods.
So you're up in the night?
Well, some people do that, or they do it by a rota.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that praying the hours is sort of 3-hour breaks every 24 hours.
Wow, wonderful. And so as part of the community of Aidan and Hilda, we encourage people to, particularly 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So here in the prayer room, we have a rhythm. So midday prayer, night prayer, these things are all happening. When you come and visit the island, you'll be able to be a part of that. So that's the rhythm of prayer, yeah.
I recommend people to memorize something so that whether they're traveling, wherever they are. So I say in the morning, I arise today in the radiance of sun. At midday, I say, as the press of work pauses at noon, may your rest be upon us. And in the evening, I say, as the sun sets in the west, may we find in you our rest.
That's wonderful, and there are lots of materials available. Like, for example, you've written liturgies from Lindisfarne. It's got prayers that we can
Lots
use.
Of them, yes.
The Northumbria community has written Celtic Daily Prayer. I love using that in the morning. And things like Lectio 365, which is an app you can put on your phone.
Yep.
We've had Pete Gregg and Jill Weber have been here visiting, and that's a great resource. So just things that will help build that rhythm into our life. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so that's the idea of a rhythm of prayer. When you talk about a rhythm of work, what do you have in mind?
Well, I think that we are workaholics, and we have to learn to stop, to be aware, and then to root out saying yes to everything that our ego wants to say yes to, because we're frightened of disappointing people or what other people think of us. We want to shore up our fragile egos. So that takes time in contemplation to discover what we're made for in an ideal world. If we can't get a job and we're desperate for a job, we take what we're given. But basically we try to have work that we can do to God,
right,
our very best work in our hearts, and we have margins. We do, and trades unions have campaigned for years to have workers' rights. So why throw all that away by becoming workaholics?
Yeah, and I suppose Sabbath fits into there as well.
The Sabbath principle is absolutely vital, and I always say to Christian full-time workers, if you're working on Sunday, have another day off. It's very important.
Yeah. Well, Faith and I, people used to take a Monday off, but actually a Monday you were just kind of debriefing and just thinking through the things that happened the day before. We used to take a Friday off.
Yeah.
I found that was easier.
When I was a pastor, I used to go away for the day off, otherwise people pester you all day.
So rhythms of prayer, rhythms of work, and then this final word that you used, recreation or recreation. Do you want to unpack that a little bit?
Yes. Well, in the biblical mandate from Moses, they give the land a rest every 7 years in order that it can recreate itself. And I think human beings need every week to have a recreation. And now we think of rest to do with Sabbath, but recreation is allowing God to inspire us into our creativity.
Yeah.
And that can be different for each person.
Yeah.
It can be writing or running, swimming, or taking the dog for a walk. But whatever revives our souls.
So what energizes you?
What energizes us, yes.
Yeah.
And it energizes our bodies, our minds, our souls, the whole of us, so that we become full human beings.
It's interesting because they used to think that when you lost your brain cells, that was it, they were gone.
Yeah.
And now they know that actually brain cells regenerate, and there are healthy. They think there's sort of diets that you can have that help regeneration.
Well, that's a relief to me.
But you've had a terrible memory since you were 50, so.
Now, come on, be loyal.
Yeah, so regeneration is kind of built into creation itself.
Yes.
Even the seasons are regenerative, aren't they?
Yes. So we need to ask the question, what makes me most alive?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us on to just some of the practical stuff then, in terms of, perhaps someone's watching this and they're a single mum with 2 kids and they've got to work and, their life just feels so busy, and then they hear someone like you and I say, oh, you've got to put these things into place, and it just feels like a burden or unreachable. What would you say, how, depending on our life stage and demands, are there practical things we can do to do what we're suggesting?
Well, I always liked the story of John Wesley's mother, who had 18 children, and she used to put an apron over her head and tell her children, when the apron's over my head, you do not disturb me because I'm praying.
Yeah.
That's not the whole answer.
Do you think she had older children who made sure the young ones weren't
Probably.
playing with the fire?
Yeah, probably.
But there are just practical things that we can
Yes.
do.
There are practical things, and children can understand the need for recreation for themselves and for their mother.
And perhaps you do things with your children that are energizing.
Yes, that's
right.
right.
Like go to the beach or whatever.
That's right.
Depends on the age and stage. I suppose what I want to say is that we want to make this accessible for everyone.
Yes.
It's not just for people who've got a quiet life or don't have a lot of demands.
No.
It's for everyone, isn't it?
That's right. And recreation can be your one-bedroomed flat, beautiful with flowers, scents, expressions of your creative writing or painting or fashion design, all sorts of things.
Yeah. I personally am an artist, and I find painting energizes me.
Exactly.
I'm an introvert as well, and so I've got a little studio and I paint, and I just get lost in another world, and I feel energized by it.
But other people get energized by your pictures.
Yeah.
I haven't been paid to say that.
Do a plug here. So we're really talking about three things then. So rhythms, which are built into the daily life, weekly, monthly, and annually, seasonally, and then three particular hooks, if you like: prayer, work, and recreation.
But the whole of life, including the way Christianity is organised, conspires to rob us of rhythm. So we've got to be radical in rooting out our lust to be in charge of everything.
Okay. And just, you were talking about plugs. You've got a little book here, Ray, I noticed, that talks about these things. If anyone's interested, this book, Waymarks for the Journey, excellent little daily reading, and it goes through all of the waymarks. So if you would find that helpful, you could get a hold of that. You didn't know I was going to do that.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, well, thank you everyone. Thanks for joining us again. Please watch this space. We will continue having these conversations, and we'll let you know when they come.
And God bless you real good, and may you flourish greatly.
Amen.